Discover Bangladesh, a land where hope rises through hardship and resilience thrives amid natural challenges. Today, we journey into the heart of a nation full of surprises, rich culture, and remarkable strength. Join us as we reveal untold stories, real struggles, and the unique spirit of this unforgettable country. What you'll learn may shift your view of the world, and if it's your first time here, make sure to subscribe to Baby Eagle for more powerful explorations around the globe. The world's dirtiest country. Bangladesh, especially its fast-growing capital, Dhaka, is grappling with a catastrophic environmental crisis that ranks it among the most polluted countries worldwide. Air quality has deteriorated to such an extent that Dhaka now regularly ranks among the world's dirtiest cities. Once clear skies are now permanently shrouded in a suffocating layer of smog, a noxious cocktail of dust, vehicle emissions, and airborne toxins. The primary sources of this environmental decay include non-stop traffic from outdated vehicles, unregulated industrial emissions, and the widespread burning of agricultural byproducts. The fallout is severe. Rising cases of respiratory illness, heart disease, and cancer, particularly among vulnerable groups like children, the elderly, and those with chronic conditions. As rapid urbanization outpaces infrastructure, managing the city's waste and emissions has become nearly impossible. While the Bangladeshi government has attempted to curb the crisis through regulations and clean energy initiatives, enforcement is weak and inconsistent. The result? Millions continue to suffer in an environment that poses serious risks to public health. This situation isn't just a national emergency. It's a global wake-up call for more aggressive environmental protections, sustainable development, and decisive leadership. Street children everywhere. On the sidewalks and street corners of Dhaka, it's common to see young children, many barefoot and wearing torn clothes, wandering alone or begging for scraps. Most are orphans or come from families living in extreme poverty, navigating each day with no stability or support. Overcrowding, traditional large families, and long-standing societal problems such as inequality, corruption, and repeated natural disasters have fueled a staggering increase in the number of street children across Bangladesh. Without access to school or any consistent income, these kids are left to fend for themselves in an unforgiving urban jungle. The dangers they face are countless. Many are lured into gangs or exploited for illegal work, ranging from petty theft to drug distribution. Even more tragically, a large number are subjected to abuse, trafficking, and violence. Their future prospects are bleak. Caught in a relentless cycle of poverty, these children are often locked out of any path to improvement. Beyond being a national tragedy, the presence of so many children on the streets reflects deeper structural failures and contributes to rising crime and instability. Yet, despite how dire the situation is, government intervention has been minimal. These children remain largely invisible, with few resources to help them break free from this cycle of survival. Widespread child marriage. Child marriage remains a deeply embedded and widespread issue in Bangladesh. So much so that it's no longer viewed as an exception but as a cultural norm in many parts of the country. Despite ongoing efforts to combat the practice, Bangladesh continues to hold one of the highest rates of child marriage in the world. Alarming statistics show that millions of girls are married off before they even reach the age of 15. This tragic phenomenon is fueled by a combination of chronic poverty, rigid patriarchal structures, and entrenched social customs that view girls not as individuals with potential, but as economic burdens. In economically fragile households, marrying off a daughter early is often seen as a practical decision, an attempt to ease financial strain by transferring the cost of care to another family. It's a desperate measure, taken under pressure and driven by lack of alternatives. One of the central factors perpetuating child marriage is the dowry system, a tradition in which the bride's family must offer money, gifts, or property to the groom's family. As girls grow older, dowry expectations typically increase. To avoid these escalating demands, families often arrange marriages at a younger age, believing this will reduce the amount they must pay. But the impact of early marriage on young girls is catastrophic. Stripped of their childhoods, many are forced to abandon school and any dreams of personal development or future independence. Instead of continuing their education, they're thrust into adult responsibilities and expected to take on the roles of wives and mothers long before they are emotionally or physically prepared. Early pregnancies, often resulting from these marriages, put them at high risk of serious health complications and even maternal mortality, especially in remote areas with limited access to health care. The psychological and emotional toll is equally severe. Many child brides face a lifetime of domestic violence, often at the hands of much older husbands or abusive in-laws. Trapped in cycles of dependency and silence, these girls rarely have access to legal support, safe spaces, or mental health care. Although the government has enacted laws to prohibit child marriage, including setting the legal age of marriage at 18 for girls and 21 for boys, the enforcement of these laws is weak. In many rural areas, local officials, under community pressure or for personal gain, help forge birth certificates and other documents to conceal a girl's real age, allowing illegal marriages to proceed without consequence. Despite the efforts of NGOs, human rights groups, and grassroots activists working tirelessly to change mindsets and educate communities, the practice remains widespread, particularly in regions where poverty and tradition tightly grip social norms. Ultimately, child marriage in Bangladesh is not just a personal tragedy, it is a national crisis. It robs girls of their rights, perpetuates gender inequality, fuels generational poverty, and holds the country back from achieving its full social and economic potential. Addressing this issue requires more than laws. It demands a cultural shift, sustained community education, economic empowerment for families, and a real commitment to protecting the rights of girls across the nation. The fight against polygamy. While polygamy remains legally sanctioned in Bangladesh under Islamic law, its impact is far from harmless, particularly for the women and children caught in its wake. In practice, it often brings more hardship than benefit. To dissuade the practice, the government has imposed a tiered tax system, charging increasing fees with each additional wife a man takes. This policy targets rural and impoverished areas where polygamy is most prevalent. In many cases, men use multiple marriages as a way to boost status or increase household labor, particularly for farming. But inside these families, severe imbalances arise. Wives often compete for resources, attention, and emotional support, creating friction, jealousy, and sometimes even hostility in the household. Children in these families aren't spared either. They frequently experience neglect and, in some cases, abuse. While the marriage tax has curbed the practice in some areas, it's clear that systemic changes are still needed. Addressing the deeper social and economic roots of polygamy, such as gender inequality, lack of education, and rural poverty, will be essential if real progress is to be made in protecting women's rights and ensuring family stability. Surviving on garbage. Hidden in the narrow alleyways of Dhaka lies a sobering reality. Thousands of impoverished individuals are forced to sort through trash heaps just to find their next meal. Known locally as pak, this practice involves rummaging through discarded food, stale bread, spoiled leftovers, and scraps from restaurants, hotels, and stores. These items, often barely edible, are hastily prepared and consumed by those who have no other way to survive. The heartbreaking contrast between the well-off, who throw away untouched meals, and the desperate, who rely on garbage to eat, underscores Bangladesh's vast social inequality. For people dependent on pak, the dangers are serious. Contaminated food often leads to infections, stomach illnesses, and food poisoning. Living and eating in such unsanitary conditions also exposes them to a wide range of diseases. Despite the risks, this survival method continues, driven by overwhelming poverty and hunger. Although some initiatives have emerged to reduce food waste and support the poor, they fall short of addressing the scale of the problem. This harsh reality serves as a painful reminder of the urgency for more comprehensive and sustainable solutions to poverty and hunger in Bangladesh. Chaotic traffic in Dhaka. Few cities are as infamous for their traffic chaos as Dhaka. Picture a city where every road pulses with non-stop movement, clogged with buses, cars, rickshaws, and motorcycles, all scrambling for limited space on crumbling, narrow streets. The blaring horns, honking rickshaws, and sputtering engines blend into a noisy soundtrack that defines daily life in the capital. Whether you're a lifelong resident or a first-time visitor, navigating this dense urban sprawl is no small feat. The roads are in poor condition, riddled with potholes and overloaded far beyond capacity. Rickshaws, ubiquitous three-wheelers that symbolize Dhaka's street culture, zip through traffic with surprising agility. While convenient, these vehicles offer no real safety in accidents and add to both congestion and pollution. The city's public transportation system fares little better. Overcrowded, poorly maintained buses that run off schedule leave many with unreliable commute options. Yet, the people of Dhaka persevere. They've adapted with creativity and resilience. However, resolving the city's transportation woes will take more than patience. It requires long-term urban planning, investments in infrastructure, and stronger public transit systems, with a clear focus on safety, sustainability, and accessibility. Living on the edge of disaster. Bangladesh's natural beauty is undeniable, from the wild Sundarbans teeming with wildlife to the calm tea plantations of Sylhet. But beneath this scenic surface lies a harsh truth. The country is relentlessly battered by natural disasters. Bangladesh ranks among the world's most disaster-prone nations. Every year, monsoon floods, violent cyclones, and soil erosion devastate entire communities. Villages vanish underwater, farmland is ruined, and thousands are forced to flee their homes. Cyclones like Sidr and Amphan have left trails of destruction in their wake. The country's massive rivers, the Ganges, Brahmaputra, and Meghna, regularly overflow and gnaw away at the land, worsening the crisis. These events not only uproot families but also cripple local economies. Still, the people of Bangladesh exhibit extraordinary endurance. The government has made efforts to prepare for such disasters, building flood barriers, promoting environmental awareness, and investing in disaster management. Yet the scale of the challenge is daunting. As climate change accelerates and extreme weather becomes more common, Bangladesh must continually adapt. Long-term global cooperation and sustainable development will be critical to safeguarding both the environment and the lives of millions. The widening wealth gap. In a country with a rich cultural heritage like Bangladesh, the increasing gap between the wealthy elite and the struggling majority is becoming impossible to ignore. While a minority enjoy lives of luxury, a significant portion of the population faces hardship every single day. More than 31.5% of Bangladeshis live below the poverty line, millions of people battling for access to food, clean water, healthcare, and safe housing. This widening gap is not only about income. It fractures social cohesion and blocks national progress. But what's fueling this divide? The roots run deep. Economic development has favored urban areas, while rural communities are often left behind. Corruption and power imbalances mean wealth stays in the hands of a few. Meanwhile, outdated land distribution systems prevent fair access to resources. Natural disasters strike hardest in the poorest regions, places lacking proper infrastructure and emergency support, forcing already vulnerable people into deeper poverty and instability. This income gap isn't just a symptom of inequality, it's a barrier to sustainable growth. Without including the majority in economic opportunities, the entire nation is held back. The solution lies in comprehensive reform, stronger social programs, equitable access to jobs, education, and healthcare, and fair land policies. Only then can Bangladesh move toward a future where prosperity is shared, not hoarded. Women trapped in the adult and entertainment industry. Tucked behind Bangladesh's economic struggles is a grim reality. Countless women, driven by desperation and poverty, are drawn into the adult entertainment industry. Despite laws banning prostitution, the trade persists and profits, both locally and internationally. For many women, joining this line of work isn't a choice, it's a last resort. With no viable employment options and families to support, the risk becomes a necessity. Their daily lives are filled with danger, from the constant threat of physical and sexual abuse to high exposure to sexually transmitted infections, particularly HIV/AIDS. The lack of sexual health education and limited access to reproductive care only make things worse. In a society where such topics are taboo, these women are left unprotected and unsupported. Behind the scenes, the industry is run by complex and often brutal systems. Online platforms, social media, and shady websites enable the trade to flourish, especially in urban centers like Dhaka. Although the government has made efforts to curb these operations, enforcement is patchy. The demand for such services remains high, and as long as that demand exists, exploitation continues. For many of these women, the decision boils down to survival. They are often the sole breadwinners in their families, taking on unimaginable risk just to keep their loved ones fed. The environments they work in are degrading and dangerous with no legal safeguards. This crisis calls for urgent change. Bangladesh must strengthen social support systems and expand economic opportunities for women, so that they're never forced to trade their health and dignity for survival. Every woman deserves a chance at a better, safer life. Bangladesh is a country where stunning natural beauty lives side by side with immense challenges, a place shaped by deep-rooted traditions, cultural richness, and unwavering resilience. From the vibrant chaos of Dhaka's city streets to the quiet, demanding life in the countryside, the daily hardships faced by its people are both real and profound. And yet the courage and determination with which they confront these difficulties is truly remarkable. In the face of poverty, inequality, and systemic injustice, the people of Bangladesh continue to push forward with hope and endurance. These issues, while deeply ingrained, are not without solutions. With dedicated action both locally and internationally, and through meaningful collaboration, change is possible. There is still light at the end of the tunnel, and the promise of a better tomorrow remains alive. So, how did these stories resonate with you? Were you surprised by any of the realities we uncovered? Or perhaps you have your own thoughts or personal insights about life in Bangladesh? We invite you to share your voice in the comments below, and if you found this journey eye-opening, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Baby Eagle for more stories that uncover hidden truths from around the world. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring with us.